Hey, stop what you are doing right now. Put down that grocery bag. Step away from that pantry. Because in the next few minutes, I am going to share something with you that may add years to your life, or to the life of someone you love. What I am about to tell you are 5 foods sitting in nearly every kitchen I walk into. The good doctors in town know about these foods, but rarely bring them up in a 15-minute appointment. Not because they are hiding anything from you, but because you cannot put a home-cooked supper in a pill bottle, and a rushed visit does not leave much room for a long conversation about what is on your plate. Stay with me, the list is coming. But first, let me tell you who I am and why I believe you need to hear this. My name is Rebecca Yoder. I am an Amish grandmother from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. For 65 years, I have cared for the folks in my community through food, through herbs from my garden, and through the plain way of living my mother taught me, and her mother before her. 5 generations of women standing at the same kind of stove. My grandfather used to say, "All sickness begins in the belly." He had no microscope, but the researchers who have come to study our community say almost the same thing now. Your gut runs your immune system, your mood, your sleep, and much of what goes wrong as you age. Hold on to that as we walk through this list. Researchers at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health followed more than 100,000 adults for over 30 years. People eating the most of what they call ultra-processed food, the sort that comes in boxes and plastic and long ingredient lists, had close to a 50% higher risk of dying from heart disease. 50%. That is not a medicine. That is not surgery. That is what walks home in your grocery bag every week. Now, number 1 on this list is a food on almost every kitchen table in America, including homes of folks who believe they are eating well. 9 out of 10 kitchens have it right there on the counter. The order matters. Each food builds on the one before it. So please, stay with me all the way to number 1. Before we begin, do this for me. Leave a comment below with your age, and tell me one food in your kitchen you have already had a bad feeling about. I read every single comment on this channel. Your answers shape what I teach next. Number 5. Artificial sweeteners. The pink packets, the blue packets, the yellow packets, and the diet sodas that carry them. Many folks over 60 reach for these because the label says no sugar. But this is not food. This is chemistry dressed up to taste sweet. Here is what happens inside you. Your gut holds trillions of helpful little creatures that make vitamins, calm your nerves, and keep your bowels moving. Artificial sweeteners treat that garden the way bleach treats a pond. They starve the good ones and let the troublesome ones grow. And here is the aging-specific reality. After 65, your beneficial bacteria are already down by roughly 70% on their own, so this hits you harder than it would a young person. The Cleveland Clinic published research showing that folks with higher levels of erythritol, one of the common sweeteners, had nearly double the risk of heart attack and stroke. A neighbor named Margaret, 68, a retired school teacher from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was drinking 3 diet sodas a day. She came to my kitchen with swollen ankles and bloating that would not quit. We put plain water with lemon in place of the sodas. 6 weeks later, she told me, "Rebecca, I feel 10 years younger, and I am sleeping like I did at 50. Your fix. Plain water with a slice of lemon. A spoon of raw honey and warm ginger tea when you want something sweet. Pair that with a slow walk after supper. Researchers at the University of Otago found walking 10 minutes after a meal drops blood sugar over 30% better than sitting still. And if number 5 surprised you, what is sitting in your lunch meat drawer will surprise you more. Number 4. Store-bought lunch meat. Sliced turkey, ham, bologna, salami. Easy, cheap, and in nearly every refrigerator in the country. To keep these meats pink on the shelf, the makers add nitrates and nitrites. Inside your belly, those mix with proteins and turn into compounds the scientists call nitrosamines. Nitrosamines work on the lining of your colon the way rust works on a piece of iron left out in the rain, slow and quiet and damaging over the years. Here is the aging-specific reality. After 65, the lining of your colon thins by about 30%. A younger belly can shake off a turkey sandwich far better than yours can. The World Health Organization, after reviewing hundreds of studies, placed processed meats in the same category as tobacco smoke. The European Heart Journal reported that eating 2 ounces of processed meat a day raises colon cancer risk by roughly 18%. A neighbor named Harold, 72, a retired mailman from Cleveland, Ohio, ate a ham sandwich every day for 40 years. He came to me with cramping, constipation, and a heaviness he could not put a name to. We took the deli meat off his plate, put a chicken he roasted himself on Sunday, sliced for the week, in its place. Within 1 month, he told me, "Rebecca, I have not felt this light since I was a young man. And while we are here, let me tell you something I have learned watching folks try to mend their gut." After 65, as I said, your good bacteria are already down by about 70%. Most of the supplements my neighbors bring over give you only probiotics. But a probiotic without prebiotic fiber to feed it, and without postbiotics, which are the actual healing compounds the good bacteria produce, is like planting seeds in dead soil. You need all 3 working together. Keep that in your back pocket. Your fix for the lunch meat. Roast a whole chicken on Sunday. Slice it for the week. Pair it with a spoon of sauerkraut at lunch. The fermented cabbage feeds the very bacteria the processed meat was starving. Number 3 is something you likely cook with every single day, and it may be the quietest thief of them all. Number 3, refined seed oils. Canola, soybean, corn, sunflower, and the blended vegetable oils that fill nearly every restaurant fryer. Sold for years as heart-healthy. My grandmother would not have known them as food. These oils are pressed at high heat and cleaned with chemicals before they reach the bottle. When you then heat them again in your skillet, they break down into compounds called aldehydes. Think of aldehydes like rust forming inside the walls of your blood vessels and the tender tissue of your brain. Here is the aging-specific reality. After 60, your body's ability to clear these compounds drops by roughly 35%. What a 30-year-old body shrugs off, your body stores. A review in the British Medical Journal tied diets high in industrial seed oils to a 43% rise in sudden cardiac events in adults over 60. A neighbor named Dorothy, 75, a retired seamstress from Des Moines, Iowa, had cooked with canola oil for 30 years. She came to me with stiff knees, puffy hands, and a fog in her mind. We switched her kitchen over to butter, a little lard from our farm, and good olive oil for cold dishes. 8 weeks later, her hands had softened, and she told me, "Rebecca, I picked up my grandson for the first time in 4 years. Your fix. Butter from grass-fed cows, lard or tallow for high heat, olive oil for cold dishes. Pair these fats with plenty of color on your plate. A study in the Annals of Internal Medicine showed folks who eat 5 servings of vegetables a day, alongside healthy fats, cut their inflammation markers by 29%. Now let me pause here for a moment, because my neighbors always ask what I actually recommend when the garden is bare or their own belly is too tender to ferment their own food. There is one gentle formula I have come to trust. It is called Buchbod, a gummy, not a pill, which matters when you are past 70 and weary of swallowing capsules. It brings together all 3 things I spoke of earlier: prebiotic fiber, a probiotic strain called lactospore, and the Postbiotics LM1004, plus dandelion root and slippery elm, 2 of the very herbs my grandfather used for digestion back in the hills. Over 30,000 folks are already using it. I will leave the link in the description. And please, speak to your doctor first before starting anything new. Now, let us get into number 2. Number 2. Ultra-pasteurized, homogenized milk. The white jugs that keep on the shelf for weeks. A lot of folks believe all milk is the same. There is a world of difference between what comes from a clean cow and what comes in that jug. Homogenization forces the fat through a fine sieve under high pressure, breaking the natural fat molecules into tiny, unnatural pieces your body does not know how to handle. Ultra-pasteurization heats the milk so hot that every enzyme your belly needs to digest it is destroyed. You are left with a drink my great-grandmother would not have recognized. Here is the aging-specific reality. After 60, your own digestive enzyme production drops by nearly 50%. So you arrive at the table already short on help, and then pour in a glass that carries none with it. Research from the University of California, San Diego, found that folks drinking raw or minimally processed dairy had 29% lower markers of inflammation than those drinking ultra-processed milk. A neighbor named Ruth, 70, a retired nurse from Louisville, Kentucky, had been told for years she was lactose intolerant. Bloating, cramping, and complaints every time she drank a glass. She tried clean, tested raw milk from a trusted farm, and within 2 weeks she told me, "Rebecca, my stomach remembered what it was for." Your fix. If you have access to clean, tested raw milk, that is what my family has drunk for generations. If not, seek out plain, whole-fat yogurt or kefir. The fermentation does the digesting for you. Number 1 is the single most important food to take off your table, and the one I want you to remember long after this video ends. Number 1. Store-bought bread. The soft loaves in plastic, the hamburger buns, the dinner rolls from the bakery aisle. This is on nearly every table in America. And this, my friends, is the master switch. Real bread is 4 things: flour, water, salt, thyme. That is what my mother taught me, and what her mother taught her. The bread in the plastic bag is none of that. It is fast-rise flour stripped of its wholeness, mixed with dough conditioners and preservatives, and a yeast that has no time to do its proper work. Here is what happens inside you. Traditional sourdough ferments for a day or more. During that slow fermentation, the good bacteria break down the gluten and release compounds called short-chain fatty acids, including one called butyrate. Butyrate is the most mending substance your gut lining has. Store-bought bread skips every bit of that. Worse, the heat-damaged flour forms compounds called advanced glycation end products, which behave like glue on the walls of your blood vessels and the fine tissues of your brain. And here is the aging-specific reality. After 70, your gut lining becomes what the researchers call leaky. Tiny gaps open between the cells, and particles that should have stayed in your belly slip into your bloodstream and stir up inflammation everywhere. That is where much of the stiffness, the forgetfulness, and the weariness you feel each morning truly come from. The Annals of Internal Medicine reported that adults over 60 who ate sourdough in place of commercial bread had 41% lower markers of inflammation within 12 weeks. And a second study from the University of Alberta found that true sourdough raised blood sugar half as much as the same amount of store-bought white bread in folks over 65. Half as much. A neighbor named Eleanor, 76, a retired librarian from Charleston, South Carolina, came to me with what her doctor was calling early memory trouble. Forgetting names, losing words, sleeping poorly. She had eaten store-bought bread with every meal of her life. We pulled it off her table and gave her a slice of real sourdough I bake each Friday, with butter and a spoon of raw honey. 10 weeks later, she told me, "Rebecca, my husband says I came back. I remember my grandchildren's birthdays again, and I sleep like a girl." Your protocol. Find a small bakery that ferments their dough for at least 18 hours, or learn to keep a starter on your counter the way I do. 1 thick slice with breakfast, spread with real butter. Pair it with a cup of warm bone broth during the day. Bone broth carries the glycine and collagen that work hand in hand with butyrate to mend the gut lining. Together, they are the master repair team. Let me bring this home for you. This is not really about bread or milk or the little yellow packets. This is about the mornings you have left, the afternoons in the garden, the grandchild who reaches up for your hand. It is about walking to the mailbox without pain, carrying the groceries without help, and sitting in the pew on Sunday with a clear mind and a steady heart. At 70, at 75, even at 80, your body is still listening. The gut can still mend. The mind can still clear. I have watched it happen in my kitchen more times than I can count. You are not a passenger in what is coming next. You are the driver. You always have been. It is never too late. Your body is made to mend the moment you stop handing it what harms it. I stake 65 years of caring for my neighbors on that plain truth. If this helped you, please subscribe so I can keep bringing these to you every week. And please share it with one person who needs to hear it, a spouse, a sister, a friend from church. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 5 foods you are taking off your table first. I read every single comment. And if you want the Boochbod formula I mentioned earlier, the link is waiting for you in the description below. Take good care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.